3 U.S. presidents have been impeached, one of them twice, but about 1/3 of the U.S. presidents have faced accusations that could have resulted in their impeachment.
Here's a quick look at what impeachment really is, the 3 presidents who have been impeached, the one facing impeachment as we film, and the others that have narrowly avoided the process one way or another.
Let's dig into this. Article 2, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution states, "The President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, and other high crimes and misdemeanors." It is a two-step process involving both the House and Senate.
The House of Representatives may hold a formal inquiry itself or appoint a special counsel to gather evidence. Based on the findings, articles of impeachment are drawn up and sent to the House floor for a vote, which must pass by a simple majority. A president is impeached if the vote in the House passes, and then the process moves to the Senate.
The Senate votes on the punishment for impeachment, and president may be convicted without punishment. The Senate votes on president's removal from office, requiring 2/3 majority to pass. If this passes, a vote is taken on disqualification from holding any government office in the future, requiring a simple majority vote.
On January 25th of 1809, a resolution for an impeachment inquiry was launched against President Thomas Jefferson. The accusation was that Jefferson committed a high misdemeanor by refusing to remove a customs collector who could no longer do his job. The House voted to consider the resolution and then rejected it by a vote of 117 to 1. No formal impeachment charges were filed.
Accused of charges involving abuse of power for vetoing so many bills that he effectively made the legislative branch totally ineffective, a House vote on January 10th of 1843 failed to pass a motion to investigate. Tyler was not impeached, but all but one member of his cabinet resigned, and he was kicked out of the Whig Party.
Andrew Johnson was Abraham Lincoln's vice president and assumed the presidency at Lincoln's assassination.
11 articles of impeachment were filed against Johnson after he removed Secretary of War Stanton, who had led the country through the Civil War. Congress claimed this violated the Tenure of Office Act, preventing the president from removing officials confirmed by the Senate from office without Senate approval, which was passed just 1 year before.
The House voted 126 to 47, with 17 abstaining, to impeach Johnson. The Senate trial ended on May 26, 1868, failing to remove Johnson by one vote, and the Supreme Court declared the Tenure Office Act invalid in 1926.
Grant's presidency saw several scandals, but a resolution for impeachment was introduced in 1876, listing the number of days Grant had been absent from the White House as dereliction of duties. It was tabled in December of the same year, and no charges or investigation was pursued.
On May 23, 1896, House Resolution 374 called for the impeachment of President Grover Cleveland for selling unauthorized federal bonds and breaking the Pullman Railroad strike using federal troops. It was not voted on or referred for investigation.
On December 13th, 1932, and January 17th of 1933, two separate resolutions of impeachment of President Herbert Hoover were introduced, listing economic grievances and accusations he had overstepped his constitutional role. The resolutions were overwhelmingly voted to be immediately tabled and not pursued.
In April of 1951, President Harry S. Truman fired General of the Army Douglas MacArthur, and congressional Republicans immediately began calling for his removal from office. After Senate hearings, two resolutions for impeachment were introduced in the House and referred to the Judiciary Committee, but were not pursued beyond that point.
The following year, another resolution of impeachment was filed, this time for Truman seizing U.S. steel mills to keep the war in Korea supplied when workers threatened to strike. After a 3-day floor debate, it was referred to the Judiciary Committee and no action was taken.
On May 3, 1968, a petition to impeach President Lyndon Johnson for military and political duplicity was referred to the House Judiciary Committee. No action was ever taken.
After 17 resolutions had been introduced, House Resolution 803 passed on February 6, 1974, authorizing a Judiciary Committee investigation of the Watergate scandal. July of 1974, articles of impeachment for obstruction of justice, abuse of power, and contempt of Congress were approved.
On August 9, 1974, Nixon resigned as President of the United States, and on August 20th, the House voted 412 to 3 on the report containing the articles, but Nixon was not formally impeached. He was pardoned for any crimes committed just 1 month after leaving office.
In 1983, 8 congressmen introduced a resolution for the impeachment of President Ronald Reagan for ordering the invasion of Grenada on the pretense of endangered U.S. citizens.
Then on March 5, 1987, House Resolution 111 introduced 6 articles against Reagan involving the Arms for Hostages Iran-Contra affair. Joint hearings were held and the articles were reportedly discussed, but never pursued.
2 resolutions for impeachment were introduced in 1991 against President George H.W. Bush. Both involved the Gulf War and included going to war without congressional consent. Both were referred to the House Judiciary Committee and no action taken.
After the Whitewater scandal and a sexual harassment lawsuit, President Bill Clinton was accused of perjury, lying to a grand jury, and obstruction of justice for lying under oath about having an affair with intern Monica Lewinsky. He was also accused of abusing power.
He was impeached in the House on December 19, 1998, on the perjury and obstruction charges. There were calls for him to step down from office, but President Clinton refused. In February of 1999, the Senate acquitted him 55 to 45 on the perjury charge and 50 to 50 on the obstruction charge. He finished his presidential term.
On June 10, 2008, House Resolution 1258 outlined 35 articles of impeachment against President George W. Bush based around the war with Iraq and the treatment of prisoners at Guantanamo. After a debate, the House voted 251 to 166 to refer the resolution to the Judiciary Committee, which took no action.
After a whistleblower complaint described a phone call where Trump allegedly tried to make a quid pro quo deal for military aid to Ukraine in exchange for an investigation of political rivals, including Joe Biden, articles of impeachment on obstruction of justice and abuse of power were brought against President Trump. The vote held on December 18, 2019, passed, but the Senate voted to acquit on both charges on February 5, 2020.
On January 11, 2021, an article of impeachment on high crimes and misdemeanors involving the January 6 attack on the U.S. Capitol were filed against President Trump. The House voted to impeach just 1 week before Trump left office, making him the first and only president to be impeached twice. The Senate voted to acquit, 10 votes short of the 2/3 majority required for conviction.
1 day after President Joe Biden's inauguration, articles of impeachment were filed citing abuse of power when he was vice president. In June of 2023, an impeachment resolution was referred to a House committee, and on September 12, 2023, 3 other House committees opened formal impeachment inquiries.
The charges include accusations of profiting from his position as vice president. It is highly unlikely that a vote to impeach will be held before the 2024 elections.
We hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
And we'll see you on the next one. Hey, here's another DragonDen video you might like.
And if you like this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button.
And you can hit the notification bell if you'd like to know when our videos come out.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.